Good afternoon. My name is Juanita Lewis, and I'm the Executive Director of Community Voices Heard in New York State. And I'm excited to be here at Netroots in Philadelphia with two amazing Black women who are doing amazing work here, talking about organizing and politics and how important Black women are in both spaces. And our podcast is called Follow Black Women, and it's named after a program and initiative that we have at Community Voices Heard that started back in 2018, where we talked about not just acknowledging Black women as voters, but at the root of democracy, where we wanted to center the voices of Black women as policymakers, as change agents, and being the ones that had the decision making of policies that needed to shape our communities, and wanted to bring that to the forefront. And, as we've been seeing how politics and democracy has been on everyone's lips now, we want to bring this conversation here at Netroots. And so I have the honor of talking to Tamara Brummer and Atima Omara, two amazing women that I've known for a while now, to talk about Black women and our roles in the movement. And so I'm going to ask the two of you some important questions. We're going to get into an interesting dialogue about that. And so I'm going to ask this important question to the two of you. And the question is, why are Black women praised as democracy's backbone, but excluded from its leadership structures? I'm going to kick that over to you first, Atima.
Yeah. I mean, my short answer was one word: misogynoir.
In the podcast,
yeah,
we're done.
Yeah. But misogynoir because it's the anti-Blackness. It is the misogyny against women that Black women experience uniquely, and it's built into all of the systems of our country from its founding. And so, you will have an appreciation of our labor because that is how Black people, Black women, were used in this country. And that's it, essentially. Like, oh, okay, we can appreciate you for your labor and your support, but never seeing you as the leaders that you have every right to be and can be.
So just seen as workers.
Yeah.
And not seen as, contributors.
Right.
And as creators.
Right. Even when it's complimentary. Like, I was thinking back after 2020 with Georgia, and I want to say it was one of the elected officials. He was being very complimentary, but he was like, Stacey Abrams put Georgia on her back, and carried it to the helped carry it to the finish line. And I was like, even that imagery, I was just like, carried it on her back, like put like the labor. But then when Stacey Abrams was like, yo, I think that I could be a good vice presidential pick, like all of a sudden all the naysayers came out the woodwork saying, nah, but you didn't even win Georgia though. I was like, wait, but you appreciated her when she laid the groundwork for the victories that have come out of Georgia. Georgia wouldn't even be a thing in the presidential election had it not been for the organizing work that she laid the foundation for with her organizations, and then the organizations that came afterwards. We wouldn't have two Democratic senators in the mix.
Yeah. So, Atima, you just wrote a book.
Yeah.
And it's called How Black Women Have Been Essential to American Democracy, but you called it The Instigators. So that's an interesting title. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so it's always the number one question. They're like, why the instigators? And I'm like, well, I like the word instigator. I wanted something that reflected like vanguard, forefront, leading. And that is something that throughout history, regardless of the generations, any social movement in this country, you will always see a Black woman pushing at the forefront, whether she's acknowledged as such or not. Like, she is doing a lot of the thinking and the strategizing and the pushing for the movement to be better than it is. And I was like, what's the word that encapsulates that? And I was looking through all the words in the dictionary and just in synonyms and trying to think of what would be like vanguard, but like in a person, and then instigator was there. And I thought it was interesting because, one, I think it's weaponized against like agitators, who usually end up being people of color, especially Black people. But then I also thought this is actually a word that is positive in that it means, like literally as a noun, somebody who initiates change or action. And so I'm like, that pretty much describes all of the women, the non-binary folks that I talk about in the book.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. No, that's exciting that you wrote that kind of a book and that you named it Instigators, because as organizers, we are taught to actually instigate, right? To ask those questions, to interrogate, and to find out what people care about in order to move them to action. We've made it very clear that our pathway to victory is Black women, right? Looking at, and I think you can appreciate this too, Atima, is that our pathway is around Black women who may be like low propensity voters, and once they're engaged, they stay engaged, right? And we found through our Follow Black Women project that being able to ask the question of, like, what do you care about? What are the issues that you care about? And the top issues were housing, education, and healthcare. And then digging deeper around why those issues, so on and so forth, and then bringing them into community with other Black women that cared about those issues, and then digging even deeper into that, and then bringing them, learning more about the issues, bringing them into community, understanding the process, what have you, really started to get them activated.
Right.
And
I was going to say, like, but you also have to do that work. Like, I feel like as somebody who does this work, like I did it as an organizer and campaign staff, and then I flipped to just consulting and working with a number of organizations. My frustration has always been, and I focus with those organizations on turning out Black and brown voters, but a lot of times it's not even that they don't want to, it's like they don't get the funding for it, right?
Yes.
And you're like,
as an executive director, I can understand
don't get the funding for it. And there's like data behind the fact that Black-led organizations don't get the funding they need to. There was that nice little like white guilt bump from about 20 to 2022. Money came in, and then out of that, it's just been kind of down, and then kind of plateau at that down part. And that's a problem, because then these organizations can't do the work that is needed year round to keep building relationships with folks, because you can't, like, I just came up to you on the street and you ain't know me from Adam, you'd be like, who are you? Why are you here? Why are you in my face? Especially Black people. Like, we don't, you gotta build a proper relationship with us before we're gonna like
everybody.
Once we're in, but you gotta like put in the work. And there's just even though we've seen the numbers show that the investment yields a lot of return, we don't see the investment that we need to be able to do that work on the ground.
Well, why do you think that is?
Well, again, misogynoir. Keep going back to that. But I mean, I think I think the party that is at least reflective of more progressive leaning people as of right now, Democratic Party, has prioritized fighting for like white moderate voters, even though every election shows that most of these states that we went in, it's the Black people, especially the Black women, that turn out in large numbers, bringing their whole families and their communities to the polling in all these battleground states. But regardless, they're not invested. And then the organizations that are interested in it aren't getting the funding. And I think it's because funders, who are mostly white, are thinking of the value of turning out people who look like them. And they don't necessarily, even if they see the importance in that kind of voter engagement work, they're like, but why do I got to spend like money for it though? Right? Why don't they just want to like vote? Like, I remember like my first campaign, there was somebody who, there was a talk about, all right, we want to turn out these Black precincts because Black voting population in that district was significant enough to change an election. And this campaign staff that was predominantly white was like, well, I just don't like the idea of like paying people to like vote. And we're like, we're not paying people to vote. We're paying people who would normally either be at a job or maybe they're unemployed, who are very connected in their communities, to like do the door knocking, turning out of communities and whatever. So even like there's a resistance to it because they're like, well, you should just want to. And it's like, why would Black people just want to when they have also won every time they've invested in the system of their own free? Like, well, it's ended up biting them and hurting them.
Like you said, this thought that you should want to do this.
You should want to do this. And the prioritization of just white voters from white funders who value and think, well, if we just pour more money into turning out white suburban moms, like the number of folks I've worked with who are just absolutely convinced if we throw enough money at white women, like they will just change their minds. And it's not like a huge percentage that we need. Like we just need enough to be like 51%. And it's like improved, but it's not improved enough. Like if white women were with us, we'd just be winning everywhere. We wouldn't even be having this conversation, right? Like we just need like a little percentage of them. But like they're just like, let's just throw all this money here toward women who still are like gonna hide and take advantage of their whiteness. Just when you could get a larger return on investment and turning out people who are with you from the start.
Can I add? I think it's about power.
And that too.
Right? Like they don't want to invest in building Black power. That's what this is. If you give an organization like Community Voices Heard power, money for us to be on the doors every single day, even in a non-election year, what kind of power could we be building for Black low-income women across New York City who live in public housing? It's about power. People have said that women in public housing residents in New York City could theoretically elect the next mayor. But we don't have the resources to talk to the thousands of Black and brown folks who live in affordable housing or public housing. So I think there's also this kind of by design, how do you dilute our power is that you don't fund the mechanisms that help us build it. And that's kind of at the heart of this country. We're seeing this now, right? With the turn back of the clock to make America great again.
Right. For whom?
But we're seeing what great means.
Right.
That means the loss of our power, the loss of our voting power in this country. So there's no real benefit for them, I think, to invest in us building real political power in this country.
Yeah. I think if there are some who might be. But overall, and when you think about it, look at like how things are breaking down over this redistricting fight, right? Like there are Black districts being eliminated. And right now we got like a whole fight happening in Florida because a certain congresswoman's district was eliminated. And she like, well, let me go run in the district right next door. Problem is that's a majority Black district. So there's like 5 Black people running. Now I read just recently before I came here that they're like, all right, we need to get in a room, figure this out because we cannot lose this like one Black political district in like Florida. But there's not even a conversation happening amongst Democrats who wouldn't even be where they were if it were not for Black and brown voters being like, all right, some white people are just going to have to like not run, right? Who've served a long time in Congress and maybe losing their seats to preserve Black political power. But then I like the answer to that.
Because there's a couple of questions that I have here, but there's one question that I'm thinking about because I keep thinking about the meme that was coming up after the 2024 election of Black women sipping their coffee or their tea or whatever they had in their cup
watch things burn.
While they watch things burn.
Right.
And in different people were saying and just looking at Black women like, so things are burning. Are y'all gonna help put out this fire? And literally, black women were just putting their hair behind their ear and still sipping whatever was in their cup because we're like, well, things have been on fire for a long time. And we've been ringing the alarm and sounding the alarm for a long time.
Like it's like the fire has broken containment.
Yeah.
Yes. 2016 when that happened, I'll speak for myself. That was kind of like, oh, y'all are serious about this kind of like make America white again agenda,
Yeah.
And that I decided that I needed to buckle down and figure out how I'm going to fortify myself and my community in this moment. So then when 2024 happened, most Black women were in the same boat. Every Black woman I've talked to, I remember the day after the election, I did a sister call where I had all my girlfriends. I was like, let's just get on the phone together. Let's be on the Zoom together in community because we are all we've got. And I think that this is what this moment is that Atima has this great shirt on that says, "For the record, we told you so."
Right.
And that's what makes people very upset in this moment, because Black women who you see our leadership when it's convenient to you, but when we're telling you that you're on the precipice of taking this country to a whole, taking us back hundreds of years. Oh, y'all are single issue voters. You only care about identity. And it's like, no, we care about this democracy.
Yep.
But you don't want to listen to us. So why would I continue to keep showing up someplace where I'm abused, ignored, disrespected? Why would I do that for my own integrity and self-respect?
Right.
If our communities are thinking the same way, why show up in spaces where we're clearly not wanted?
Yeah.
Right.
That's
I mean, listen, I mean, after the 24 election, I remember I was like, a couple of folks were like, everybody's like, I had a lot of white friends like me. I'm so sorry. It was like 2020 all over again, but now it wasn't about Wayne. It was about the election. I was like, oh, I know this is not just because of the work I had done, but like also just because, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, and you can apologize, but then, and I know y'all voted the right way, but like what, at least the people in my circle, but like, what are you gonna do about it? How are you gonna like fix it so that we get out of this on the other side and maybe build something better? Because honestly, Black women have done so much of the work. And while we are like, follow us, we also are like, do something, like follow us and like make yourself useful in some way. Be an accomplice. Be a John Brown. Like, what are you? He's like, I'm gonna take up arms with my Black brethren. I believe in the cause of not only Black people being free, but also that they are equal to me and they are worth dying and fighting for. And I will use my privilege to like push them forward. So, because also we not all getting free. If you don't like what you're seeing and you're experiencing now, we not getting free until we're free, until we all free. It ain't gonna be you free and get on the other side and then like, no, because we're gonna get right back to where we started.
Because the other part of follow Black women is to your point of like, follow us and do something.
Right.
Like you're following us because there is a level of expertise that we have.
Right.
That when it impacts us, it's going to impact you. It's going to get to you eventually. Because anything that impacts Black women, it's going to impact us 10 times, 20 times worse. So when it gets to you, it's going to hit you a little bit. But when it gets us, it gets us instantly. So listen to us because we're the test case, unfortunately. Right?
Yeah.
But for some reason, no one cares.
Oh, we already know.
Misogynoir. And right, misogynoir. And then all the things, and then later on, people are like, "Oh my goodness, I didn't know this thing was going to happen,"
right.
or I didn't know it was going to be like that,
right?
Or I didn't think it was going to be serious, or whatever. But then, alas, here we are. So then, the next question I have is: so what does let's imagine. Let's take a little imaginary trip, right? Let's imagine.
Do the John Lennon imagine.
Exactly. So if people were to actually follow Black women, what would it look like if they did? What would a democracy look like if people were to actually follow Black women?
Woo. I mean, that's basically the thesis of my book. So by my book, The Instigators, how Black women have been essential to American democracy and what we can learn from them. Because what we can learn from them is the thing, right? Like, if what we learn from them is the ways in which we can defeat authoritarianism, build a true inclusive multiracial democracy, one that policy and politics is reflective of the whole population. And you can learn that from Black women because we are so marginalized in this country and disregarded. Like, if we fixing Black maternal health, we're fixing all maternal health. That's right. If we're raising the wage for Black women, by default, everybody else gets their wages who are women of color and, white women raised. Like, if we're fixing the housing problem, the housing crisis in this country, we are building more houses and everybody get the benefit from that. I remember seeing a study, I was doing some research for the book. One of the things they showed was that where Black people were elected and where also Black voters turned out were areas where like infrastructure and the social safety net was invested in more. And that benefited the white people who lived in that area. I'm just saying, like, there is so much great, wonderful abundance on the other side of following Black women. If for no other reason, simply like you too will benefit from the policy and the organizing. But also, and I'll go back to the fighting authoritarianism point because I want to reiterate that, is that this is pretty much all of the Western Hemisphere to some regard, but definitely the US. Black people lived in communities that were basically under authoritarian rule, where they were like represented by all like white elected officials. They were kept from voting. Their political power was diluted, and they were terrorized from going to vote. They're like, Black women were assaulted as a form of terrorism, like sexually assaulted, raped. Black men were lynched. And still, generation after generation, there was always a group that was willing to find ways to organize and instigate. And so there's lessons to be learned from that for now, as a lot of people who are not Black and who are not Indigenous are really learning in real time what it means when the government don't really care about you and are actively trying to suppress your rights. I was thinking about this too because I had like a friend, and it's like mostly about like pop culture stuff or like food or like whatever, and she's white, and every time like she finally like does what I say, she's like, girl, you were so right about that. Like, you were so like, Atima is like, and she always says that, like, she'll say to her other friends, Atima's always right about stuff. So, like, don't even question her food recommendations or show recommendations, getting on this app, recommendations. And I'm just like, right. So imagine if we did that for policy and politics.
Right.
Look how much better your life could be if you would just listen to me.
Right.
Profound.
Yeah.
I mean, you just said something too about the 600,000 Black women who have lost their jobs from the federal government, and we're not even talking about them.
Nah.
We heard a little bit about when it was 300,000.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about the 600,000.
And it's like more than that now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a crisis.
Crisis.
That is a crisis.
That's a crisis.
Like canary in the coal mine of the coal mine.
Yeah.
Of like just what's going to happen. Because also, and that's what Anna Gifty says in her book, The Double Tax, which is like the indicators on our employment is indicating how everybody else is doing.
Exactly.
And the way I've seen the social media streets and my social networks of people who are fairly well educated and have a lot of job experience who are still looking for jobs across the board.
The economy is in shambles.
Yeah.
Shambles. It's $1 is nothing.
$1 is what is that?
Right. What is this artifact?
What's that gonna buy? What's that gonna buy for me? Right.
But if you're to this point of like, if you are listening to what's happening to Black women across the country, you already know that.
Exactly.
You already know that. And that's why in 2024, we already knew the economy was looking a little funny. And we all were trying to look at each other like, how can I support you? How can I support you? How are we going to do this mutual aid so we take care of each other? And that is what we've had to do. And I think sometimes because people don't think we're human, they think we're magical, but also ignorant. When they see us do the things that we do to survive and thrive, they think it's kind of like, oh, they're just stronger at that thing. But they don't say that. They say, you're geniuses. You're looking at the board and you're saying you're making calculated decisions. I've told people I went to, integrated schools, shout out board, Brown versus board. I've been navigating white spaces since kindergarten.
Same. For the most part. So there was a period where I didn't.
When you think about strategy, right? So you're in kindergarten, everybody is white, your little teacher's white, you are different, you realize you're different, and you see that you're treated differently. So I'm already calculating these moves I need to make because I know what success needs to be. They're not the metric, but I know what success is, right? So we have been doing that for years. In our own personal lives. So why can't that not be translated into these other aspects of the governing of our country?
We've had that, it was another author that I saw saying it when she was talking to a white woman saying well, why can't it be listen to women? And she was like, because Black women have had to sit with trying to figure this out a lot longer. And so we know the answer. She's like, y'all white women just got here for the most part. Some of y'all, maybe if you grew up in community with us or, experience, I found working with some of my lower income white girlfriends as organizers, they were a little bit more clued in. They got it because of their, the experience of income inequality and all of that kind of, and then the communities that they had to live in kind of opened their eyes a little bit more. But, white middle class, upper and higher, they don't have to sit with those things, right? I mean, even, and this was just funny, it was an anecdotal thing. We were talking about dating. And I remember this white woman said, and it was on social media, she said, now that I've made a certain amount, I don't feel this pressure to date somebody because of their income or settle down with somebody because of their income. And I was like, oh, that's how y'all look at it. I was like, I'm just looking for, basically my mom was like, make sure you have you down because you'll know if you partner up with a Black man, you don't know what he gonna have. So make sure you have your financial situation and everything. That's why we have so many educated Black women and who are with multiple degrees and are, the majority going to college and grad school and all of that, because we were not raised to think, oh, okay, then we can hitch our financial security to a man.
Right.
Because you didn't go to college for your MRS.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So when you have to think about navigating and surviving, even just think about this now. I always laugh about it. It was Black and white women when I was in college, we were all sitting around talking about families and having them. And the white women said, oh, well, I just don't really know how I'm going to balance both. And the Black women were like, wait, isn't that that's what
we do?
That's what we do. That's what our mamas did. That's what our grandmamas did. What do you mean? How you going to balance? How you going to balance both? You just make it work. So living in those two realities, one of which is a reality that's always trying to figure it out and building for yourself, to your point, makes us more equipped to figure out the answers or offer the answers and the strategy on our way forward.
As Black women, we know that we're always going to be, unfortunately, we're always going to be seen as quote unquote the workhorses. And unfortunately, I feel that's we're never going to stop being seen as that. Right. And I think because of the work that we all do, we know that we are more than that. We're strategists, we're architects, right? We're instigators. And we're constantly pushing against that workhorse narrative. But even with the strategist title, the instigator title, we are still workhorses within those titles, right? And then wonder if you all could speak to some of that a little bit, because to speak to a little bit about that, because we're still workhorses within the title of strategist and architect.
I work hard for y'all. For Black women, I work hard. I'll be a workhorse for Black women. I'll use whatever little privilege I have to work hard so other Black women can eat. Like I will. We all will do it for other Black women. But to that point, around 2024, no, not for everybody else. Right? I have my therapist, wonderful woman, shout out Sonia. She told me one day, Tamara, give less. Because your less is going to be so much more than theirs. You give 80%, that's going to be their like 120%. Because to this point, you've already been navigating these systems. You already have the answer in a way. You don't have to prove anything to these people. Don't give them all. Don't give them all. I'll give you, Juanita, everything, because I trust you and I respect your leadership and I believe in your vision. And I think that you believe in mine. So I will work very hard for your vision because I believe it will benefit me and others. You know, so like we will always be seen as mules in this country to this point. Our labor is always going to be seen as we built this country on our backs, et cetera, et cetera. You can have it. That's not what you think about me. Fine. Nothing I will do will change that because you've already shown me that in the way that you vote, in the way that you legislate, the way that you govern. So I don't know if I can fight a narrative that is already rooted in something that is not rooted in reality. So I'll be a hard worker for y'all, for Black women. I'm not going to slack off for y'all. And I'm not even slacking off for them, but they're not going to get my best and my brightest. Y'all are going to get my best and my brightest.
Yeah, I feel that. And also, like, by extension, and that could mean Black women by extension, but like also working hard for the family, right? And it's like, I got aging parents. Like my man, he's a little bit older than me. So as we always joke, he'll retire sooner. So, you know, and even it's just work viability. He's like my work viability, you know, there's a certain point where ageism just hits. And so, you know, and so, I'll be working a little longer. And so like, it's like, all right, I got to think about protecting and taking care of my family, especially in a system where like, the way they are gutting the social safety net, I'm like, heaven forbid any of these folks get any more disabled. Right. You know, and like what we do as Black people, like when we have family members, we just giving money away. We like moving them in. We like building little houses for them to live next door. Like we don't throw them in the nursing home. Like, you know, so I think it's like why I was saying to my husband the other day, I'm like on top of like book promotion and work, I'm just tired because I said there is no reason that like the amount of effort that I put in and, you know, the money I made over the course of my career shouldn't be enough to just breathe a little bit. But everything is way more expensive for everybody. So the money that you make doesn't go as far. And then add in the fact that I am Black and woman, and I know I'm not making as much as I could be making. So I'm tired in that way. And that has led me to also kind of triage and be like, all right, it's my people and my family, like be they blood family or chosen family, but like taking care of those things because we got to make it through this.
I want to ask you this question because both of us are first generation kids, right? Your parents are from Kenya?
Uganda.
Excuse me. And my parents are from Sierra Leone. And I always get excited when I meet another African sister doing this work. And so I want, does it feel, I don't want to say like feels different, but like, how do you feel? Is there like another level of importance
to the work,
right? Or urgency to this work? Given, being an African woman doing this work.
I mean, 1000%. I mean, it's kind of hard not to see what's happening on the immigration side of things and not be like, because, they're highlighting a lot of Latinos, but like, we know who's getting the worst of it in these detention centers. And they looking like
Yeah.
You know, right? Like they're looking like us.
Yep.
So that's the one. And number two, it's like also when you come from like countries that have struggled to maintain democracy and were put in that position due to colonialism, another form of like Jim Crow, essentially.
Yeah.
You really value democracy in a way that is like different and similar to those of our like Black brothers whose families have been here, you know, forever. And you value it in this way of like, yo, this can be gone tomorrow, like for reals. And not wanting to say like, why don't you want to vote to them? Because you understand when you because I see it on my own, you know, in African politics where people like, I'm gonna show up, vote, and the whole situation is rigged. So why am I going to keep showing up? And I know that is the same feeling a lot of times, especially now in the Black community here. And so I'm like, but we've got to figure out a way to like take our power, I think is what kind of informs my work. I'm like, because the story of colonialism and Jim Crow is that they did not want us to have power. I'm right now reading this book that really talks about how the rest of the world would not have developed had it not been for the wealth, the resources of Africa. And just how sophisticated we were and all of those things. Like, you know, they're trying to be like, oh, well, the reason we started exploring was because of Asia and trying to get to spices. Nah, the reason y'all started exploring is you found out we had some gold and some silver and some things, and you like, let me go talk to some of these chiefs and see what I can get. See what I can steal. Like, and so when I think about that, I'm like, the whole premise of this, like, of white supremacy has been trying to take our power and our resources away from us and are invested in making sure that not only does that happen, but that also we aren't like talking and in community with each other.
Yeah.
And, you know, not able to build back that power. Right. And so, yeah, there's this level of urgency because I see having that global perspective of how like Black people have been treated. Like I see what's the potential here if we're all together, and it gives me a sense of additional urgency.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the same for you, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, there definitely is the conversation about immigration that I always bring up of saying Black people are also part of the immigration conversation, right? And I always remind African Americans of that too when some folks want to say, oh, that's not our fight. That's not our fight. I'm like, no, it is.
It is, though.
It is our fight. And even have to remind folks in the immigration movement, Black immigration is also a fight.
Right. We have an immigration system because of Black people.
I know, that's what they also say.
Right. So when we're in Philadelphia, which is great, right? Let's a little bit of history and grounding.
Yeah.
If you're an enslaved person and you came to Philadelphia and you lived here for a certain amount of time, you could get your freedom. So what slave owners would do is take their slaves back to the plantation and the clock starts over. What's that sound like? The immigration policy in this country, right? You come in, you can stay for 30, 60, 90 days, right? But the clock starts, you got to leave and come back. Like immigration is a Black person issue. Citizenship is a Black person issue. Right? This whole like birthright citizenship
is a Black.
That was because
maybe some of us were brought over here and was trying to get you. Right.
They were like trying to send us back, and they're like,
you know, so like all of these things are connected. And if you insist, I think, as a Black American, to think that those issues don't matter to you, I'm gonna say I think you're a fool. You're playing into the game. You're playing into the trap. Because what we're seeing happening with ICE in our communities, we saw that in 2020. We saw it in 2016. We saw it in 2014 when our communities were under attack. It's the same strategies that they're using on our Black and brown immigrant brothers and sisters.
And they're all connected. They're all urgent. And I remember when I just got back from Sierra Leone, early April, I went and marched with my mom. And I remember the few times that I've gone back, but this last time, like, it just hit in a certain way when someone said to me, oh, you don't have to worry about this thing. You're our Black sister. And like the level of freedom and being seen as a full human being there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was born in Minnesota.
But
right? I was born here.
Right.
And no one ever made me feel that free and open to walk around and feel seen here.
Mm-hmm.
But the country that clearly I'm connected to, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't born in, I felt more seen and valued there.
Yeah, it was funny. I was like talking to somebody. I think she's biracial. She's very, very light skinned. But like she traveled to, I guess it was South Africa for the first time. And the first time she'd never been on the continent. She was there for a conference. And the front desk lady was like, oh, is this your first time on the continent? She's like, yeah. And then she leans over and grasps her hands and says, welcome home. You know, that's our
you know, it's the feeling.
Yeah. I think that's beautiful. And I want for Black people who are born in America, whose families were brought here, who have generations of enslavement, feel the same way here. Because this is our country.
Right? Yeah.
I'm an American. I'm not a big, like, these colors don't run kind of person, but I'm an American. Right? Yeah. And that this is my country. I have every right to be here, to take up space.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of what anyone else says. Like, this is where I belong. And I think that, like, this kind of connection with, like, Pan-Africanism across the diaspora is what fortifies that. Yeah. Like when I see you all go home, and when Juanita was home, I was like, dang, that looked nice.
I was dropping
but you know what? My ancestral homeland is the South. And I feel that way when I go to the South.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. So the same kind of like, our fates are so connected and so tied to each other. And I just think that this is why, like, following Black women, this is it. Yeah. It's not about follow Black American women, follow Black this.
It's like follow Black women.
Yeah. It's not just here in America, but in other parts of the diaspora. Yeah. Black women have been leading the charge.
Yep.
Changing the democracies and the shapes of their societies all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so I know we're wrapping up, but you know, like, what is that last thing that we want to leave our viewers out here in Netroots Nation with as we are talking about following Black women?
Man, read some books, including mine. The Instigators, how Black women have been essential to American democracy and what we can learn from them. And also, you know, because what I say in the book is also, like, find Black women's organizations that you can support, candidates that you can support, leaders and community activists who are young, who could use the mentorship and support, donate some money. There are multiple ways that you know, everybody thinks, oh, well, if I'm involved in politics, I got to run for office. No. And you don't also have to work on a campaign full time like I have. Like, there are so many different ways to, like, support democracy, support Black women who are doing the work of democracy. Maybe you're like, all right, I'm just the funder. Great. Send some dollars. Right. So that's what I would say.
Yeah. I mean, continuing to follow Black women because we are the architects and the instigators and the creators and the shapers of democracy. And we're not the workhorses or the work mules. We are the ones that shape and create